Well, hello, everyone.
Hello.
Glad to see you were able to make it to this little get-together.
It's good to meet you, Carol. Another Carol.
Good to meet you, Carol.
Yes. I'm going to get confused here with all the Carols.
I'm the one with me.
Yes. Anyways, I want to just introduce folks and welcome you to this holistic care and wellness episode. Today, we're going to be looking at a podcast on exploring biblical teachings and practices for improving health and well-being. My name is Clarence McPherson, and today we are reflecting on spiritual wellness. I'm joined by co-host Carol Beam, and our featured guest is Carol O'Neill. Carol is a health and wellness committee member at Westminster United Church and a faith community reintegration program associate. So perhaps to begin, we could just open with a little prayer. If I could just ask you to join me here. The Holy One, we seek your presence and inspiration as we begin a conversation on spiritual wellness. Help us to be open and receptive to your word and action as we engage in this conversation. Amen.
Amen. So,
Carol, perhaps we could begin with you explaining a little bit about your work in faith community reintegration.
This work that I do, I work with females that are incarcerated federally at the Women's Prison in Kitchener, which is GVI, for all crime. And so I go into GVI pre-release, sit down, talk to them about some support programs for them when they're released. And then when they get back out into the community, Toronto and the GTA, which is my area, I work with them on their faith and spiritual journey back into the community. Some of them had faith when they were incarcerated and lost it while inside. Some had no faith and found faith while they were inside, and others had faith and are now on a spiritual journey. So I make sure that spiritual and faith are both based in this, so people don't feel left out.
Okay. So when you're dealing with, like, your title there is faith community reintegration, or like you're not actually reintegrating to a particular faith community, then it's you're kind of open to.
No, so I connect with all faith communities and spiritual. So I work with Buddhism, Protestant, Catholic, all of them. And in fact, oddly enough, Wiccan has become one of the number one faith followed inside institutions, both on my male and female side. So I connect wherever I can for these individuals so that they have a place to worship or find meaning wherever they're looking.
Oh, okay. Very good. Very good. Well, Carol, during this pandemic, you developed a series of videos offering reflections and practices for fostering spiritual wellness. Perhaps you could share some of the main points of these reflections.
So the reason I came up with this, as soon as COVID hit, I had to stop going inside, as did everything. So all faith communities had to stop going inside. And therefore, since March of 2020, inside the institutions, there's been no worship services of any kind. So I was trying to find a way to still reach them, and realized that Rogers actually goes in. They can watch Rogers local in Kitchener. So I approached them and asked them if they would be interested in this program, and they agreed. So I started doing the program bi-weekly, coming up with a different topic every week or every 2 weeks, and then send it in, and they play it on a loop inside the institution throughout the day.
Okay. Now, I think your videos, there were 8 videos. So you touched on different topics in those videos?
So the theme of it, how to find peace in our new rhythm of daily life with COVID, with all the changes. So it was coming up with a lot of the things I hear all the time when I speak with my individuals. But the other thing is this was going into the community. So I needed to be careful that I identified both challenges. So if, for example, I'm big on nature, but I have to be careful that my tapings didn't talk only about going out for a walk in the woods, because the ones that are in GVI can't do that. So trying to come up with a way that it met everybody's needs and not just female. It was for everybody that would tune into Rogers and need some spiritual guidance.
I see. Okay. Yeah, because I think when I saw some of the videos, you know, you were dealing with like hope in, you know, one video, and
Hope is big, meaning, how to find your meaning in this world. And I talk a lot about, you know, people want to be happy, but happiness is actually, it can be fleeting. So you need to find some purpose deep inside, and that will bring you happiness once you find that purpose. Probably that was the most responded to, was my one on finding your meaning and your purpose.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think there was one that I particularly liked, which was on self-reflection and learning to relax in these stressful times. Yeah. How about you, Carol? Do you have any question you would like to ask?
Yes. You say your spiritual well-being is about what inspires you. What gives you hope, and what do you feel strongly about?
So one of the things, well, there's a couple of things I talk about a lot in actually probably every one of my videos, and it's on a gratitude journal. And I think until you have gratitude in your life, it's hard to have hope, because I think they go hand in hand. So I talk a lot to my individuals on a one-to-one basis and in my videos on sitting down at the end of the day with a gratitude journal and saying 2 to 3 things that you're happy that happened that day. And one of the responses would be back, well, I'm sitting in a cell. There's nothing to be happy about. But if you know, go right down to the very base and say, well, when you went to the kitchen, did somebody step out of the way so you could get into the fridge and get something? Yes. Well, they didn't have to do that. So that's something to be thankful for. You didn't have to sort of fight your way to the fridge. So it's trying to get people to really dial down and be grateful for what you have, not what you don't have, because we become so focused, and especially during COVID, on what we're missing, and instead of realizing what we've still got. So you can still see a cardinal out your window. You can still see snow on the branches, and that gives me hope, because it's all a seed, and that's what this is all about, is a seed that's going to grow. And no matter where you are in this situation, that hope that it's going to be better tomorrow.
Yeah. So, like, I think your purpose here was for the videos. In one of the early ones was about finding meaning in these turbulent times. Can you just explain a little bit what you have in mind there? Like, I know that there's a lot more than the pandemic going on. So
meaning is a lot of the times we overlook what's right in front of us. And so I'll give you an example of one of the individuals I work with that was sitting in a cell and watched this video and was struggling with how they got to where they are. And all of a sudden they realized that they had been given a Bible when they were went into the institution, and there was a program that they could have attended, and then it got stopped. But he realized he still had the Bible. And so he took the Bible and started to read and started to feel better about himself, and realized that he started to talk to his cellmate about it. And the next thing he knew, his cellmate was telling someone else about it. And he realized at that moment that that was his meaning. That was his purpose for being there now, was to sort of spread some good news, and not be, his words, not slamming it at people, but just showing how much it meant to him. And so then his next problem was, where's my purpose when I get out? Because this is my purpose inside. And so then we talked about, okay, find that purpose now that you get outside, and where, in his case, he was faith-based. So where was God going to guide you next? And so keep your eyes open and watch and listen. for where your journey is going to go next.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, how like your reflections, I think part of the reasoning you have given in some of the videos I watched was to try to motivate people to make changes for a better future. So I'm thinking of inmates coming out of prison, and I don't even know if anybody's there to pick them up when they come out the main gate, but their life is in quite a disarray. So do you think these videos and the messages you're delivering can help people to motivate them to make a change?
Absolutely. I've heard a lot of discussion where the chaplain from inside will contact me with an email or a letter that somebody has written because of what they've watched. Two of the programs I do when they do get out, and what I tried to put in these videos was self-compassion. So, everybody's a good friend to everyone else, but you're a crummy friend to yourself. And so self-compassion starts with being able to look in a mirror at yourself and say, I like you. And you can do this, and giving yourself some leeway. The other is I do a program called I Am Enough. And if you're faith-based, I am as God. If you're not faith-based and you're spiritual, then I am as me. And so there needs to be a sense of belonging to yourself before you can feel you're going to belong to a community, especially after you get out of incarceration. And so one of my roles is to work with people to see that they're not broken, they're bent. And so I never tell somebody that you're broken and let's put these pieces together, because those pieces don't fit the way they did before. I say you're bent like a willow. And a willow withstands storms, and then when the storm's done, they stand up straight again. So it's about, with these videos, is to get people to stop, breathe, reflect, and look around you to appreciate what you've got so that you can grow on that and build on that.
What challenges has the pandemic put in your way for your one-on-one? Are you still able to have no contact whatsoever one-on-one?
I have no contact since March of 2020. So I do Zoom consultations with people that are out, individuals. I do have some individuals that are out that can't, they have an internet restriction. So I end up doing phone calls with them. From the inside the institutions, male and female, I get calls about 3 times a day from different individuals that just stay connected with me on sort of get their release plan ready so that they have some supports and feel that they've got some hope when they get out, that somebody's still going to be able to connect and start that process on for them into the community. But I would say the biggest challenge has been with COVID, they've lost that one-on-one, and that's what they've been without for 5, 10, 15 years. And now they're still without it. So they get out of prison thinking that once that door's shut, I'm good. But they're not, because now there's a stay-at-home order, and now there's a 14-day isolation. And so they still feel they're incarcerated even when they get out. So it's trying to show them, again, hope that this too will pass and we'll get past that. And this is what we can do for now.
Well, I certainly see that, your message and broadcasting it through Rogers to folks incarcerated to reflect on these messages, that would be beneficial to those folks. But I think it would be beneficial for a much broader audience. And that's part of the reason we asked you to join us here today, Carol. We're trying to share this information with folks across the country, and it's very timely given that we're in the midst of a pandemic and a lot of upheaval in our society. So with that, I'm going to bring it to a close. I'm going to thank you for joining us today and sharing on your reflections. We pray that the Lord will continue to bless you and your work of service and faith community reintegration and your health ministry. Thank you, Carol, and thank you, Carol Beam, for joining.
Well, thank you for having me.
All
This
right.
is wonderful to meet you, and I echo Clarence. Many blessings for your ministry.
Thank you. Thank you.